everyone, I'm Basilia and welcome to my channel. Here I share content about my digital nomad lifestyle to give you information about the places I've lived in or visited to help you make an informed decision if you want to visit or if you want to live there, right? So in my previous videos, I've shared my experience living for 13 months in Israel, and I've shared the 10 things that I loved about living in Israel, right? And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 things that I did not like about living in Israel, okay? So if you watch the things that I loved, you might want to watch this video until the end to see the things that I did not love about living in Israel. So if you're new to the channel and you find my content interesting for you, you can hit the subscribe button and you can hit the notification bell so you get notified when I share new videos. So let's get into it, guys. So I lived in Israel for 13 months, and I must say it's one of the best places I've visited in terms of beauty. It's beautiful. There's a lot to do, endless things to do. For a tourist, it is paradise in terms of there's endless things to do. Of course, you're gonna pay, but you know, it is an amazing, beautiful place to visit and very interesting because of the history there, right? And I've been lucky enough to travel all around Israel, visiting all these amazing places, trying all this amazing food, and I had a blast when I lived in Israel. So guys, let's get down to it. The things that I did not like about Israel, the 7 things, okay? And the first thing that I did not like about living in Israel is it is expensive AF, like capital AF. It is crazy expensive, Israel. Like, oh my gosh. One time I was hoping to do my nails, right? And I went to the salon and I asked the lady, how much is it? And the lady told me 300 shekels to do my legs and my finger. If you do the conversion, it's over 70 euros, you know, to paint my fingers and my toes. And guess what? In Montenegro, I paid 30 euros. That's half the price already, right? So it is very expensive, Israel, and really you cannot just do things anyhow you like. You have to have a strategy, and you know, to really live well in Israel, you have to have a good job. You know, you need to probably even be living at your mom's or something so you can afford to live well, because once rent is covered, then at least you have a bit more disposable income. But yeah, Israel is super expensive. Everything, groceries, everything's expensive, you know. Luckily, when I lived in Israel, I lived with my husband's mom, so thankfully we didn't break the bank, right? And even then it was still expensive, right? So yes, Israel is a very expensive place, and I feel like as a tourist, if you really want to tour, you have to be willing to break the bank, right? So the second thing that I hated about living in Israel is alienation as a black person, okay? I think I mentioned this in a previous video. As a black Nigerian or African in Israel, I felt a bit alienated because there's not so many black people, and the only few black African people are refugees. So it's like, okay, the few of us that are even there, our reputation is not that good. There's a park there in Tel Aviv where you see all these refugees just sleeping on the benches in the park because they don't have accommodation, nothing. They maybe came there by boat. I don't know how it happened for them. But yeah, these African black people in Israel already have this reputation as refugees, right? So if you're a black person in Israel like me, then there's already that stereotype roughly. But the black Jews are Ethiopians, so of course I don't have any connection to them. I don't really understand their culture and things like that. But yeah, for me it was quite alienating because I did not feel like I belonged in that environment, you know. There's a different language, even though I love Hebrew and I've been learning there, I did not feel like this environment I could excel there or I could find my place there, right? This is just my experience, right? And that's how I felt. So that's the second thing I didn't like about living in Israel. I felt a bit alienated as a black person, and most of the places that I visited, I was the only black person there. I went to concerts, I went on a boat cruise, I went to safaris and all these things, and I was the only black person there, right? So that was my experience. And the third thing that I did not like about living in Israel is language barrier, okay? Yes, I love Hebrew and I've been learning and I love the language, but also there's language barrier. And I actually realized that not many Israelis speak English actually. Like, yes, there are the Israelis in Tel Aviv that speak English because they're internationals, or one parent is from Europe or something like that. But let's say, for example, you meet an Israeli in maybe in Gedi or something, I don't think they will speak English, you know. Many Israelis don't speak English. considering it's an advanced country, right? So that was something that was interesting for me, right? Of course, I got by. I mean, my husband speaks Hebrew, so he would translate whenever I needed. But overall, right? There's that language barrier. That's one of the things that I didn't like about living there, because also if you don't speak a language, you don't really understand certain cultures and things, right? So the fourth thing that I didn't like about living in Israel is that Israelis are quite blunt, okay? They are quite blunt. They will tell you as it is, and it can come off as rude, okay? For example, even when I was flying to Israel, from Nigeria for the first time, even the experience I had on the plane, I already got a vibe of the bluntness of Israelis. Like, some lady was holding up the queue when you're walking to your seat in the plane, and she was just acting like no one was there, and I was directly behind her, and there was a whole queue behind me, and I told her, like, man, we're waiting here, can we move? And she's like, oh, you have to wait, you know. And we actually had to wait, and I was like, wait, is it just me, or is this how Israelis are? I don't know. That was just one experience on the plane. But in general, Israelis are quite blunt, and this could come off as rude, right? And also, as a side bonus, Israelis can actually be all up in your personal space. Like I say, it's only in Israel where I've, you know, had conversations with people, and they're like standing right here, like right here in front of you, and you're like, right here, and it's like, okay, you might as well kiss me, right? Or something like that. But yeah, Israelis can get really into your personal space, right? And yeah, that's just something that I didn't like about living there. It's the bluntness, because for me, I'm not used to that. The fifth thing, I feel like this is a really important thing actually, is the constant threat of war and conflict, okay? While I was in Israel the last time when I was living there was actually an ongoing war, and we couldn't leave the house, right? There were rockets coming from Gaza, and we were getting alerts on the phone, because whenever there's a war, you get alerts for your phone if there's rockets, so you know which towns are in the potential hit zone for the rockets. Crazy, right? Like, you have to live there to know these things, right? And you get alerts on your phone, like run, 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 to know if a rocket could hit your city or not, so to know to stay indoors. And guys, most homes in Israel has a bunker, and a bunker is a fortified room in each home. So if there's a war and the rockets have been fired, if you get an alert that, oh, your location is in the potential heat zones for rockets, you go hide in your bunker, guys. And your chance of survival if a rocket hits your house is safer if you're in the bunker. Like, you will probably survive, right? So that's crazy. Every home has a bunker, like fortified, because that shows you how often there's war, right? So while I lived in Israel, there was an ongoing war. There was even civil war on ground in that time also, where Arabs were being attacked on the streets. Like, it was a scary thing, honestly. Like, war in Israel is not just, oh, from Gaza or from Lebanon and things. It's like there's also civil unrest, because there's so many different people living in one place, and of course there's bound to be conflict, right? So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I didn't like living there. It's like you're constantly on edge, or you have to really plan your movement sometimes, because it's like, okay, if there's ongoing war with a specific place, maybe I don't want to take this road to the place that I want to go to, because a rocket could hit me there. Crazy, right? That's a crazy way to live, really. So yeah, that's one of the things that I didn't like about living in Israel. And the sixth thing that I did not like about living in Israel, maybe this one is because I'm a minimalist, but this consumerism is on steroids. Oh my gosh. You would think that because the country is super expensive, that people, you know, would be a bit more careful in their spending. No. Besides of Dubai, the place with the most malls I've ever been to is Israel. You live in a village and you have a huge ass mall. Like, there are malls everywhere, and huge ones, and wow, it's crazy. Like, consumerism is on steroids there, and it's hard to live there and not want to shop. Imagine someone living in Tel Aviv and surrounded by all this marketing and all these huge stores and everything. Dude, you would spend all your money on consumerism, right? So for me, I like to think of myself as a minimalist to a certain degree, and I think that it's way too much consumerism going on in Israel. Like, it is really on steroids there, and that's one of the things that I didn't like about it. Of course, it's not like it affects me on a day-to-day basis. Maybe for you it's like, oh, come on, get her, it's nothing, right? But for me, it was a bit much in terms of you need to be really careful not to spend all your money, right? And it's already expensive enough. So imagine having all this consumerism around you every time and all this marketing. It would be hard. So yeah, that's the sixth thing that I didn't like about living in Israel. And guys, the seventh thing that I did not like about living in Israel is the traffic. Oh my gosh. But I didn't work in Israel, like going to an office or anything. So I did not have to be stuck in traffic in the morning for work, but whenever I wanted to go on road trips and we had to leave early, wow, the traffic is insane. The roads are full. And you will start to wonder how people have so many cars in Israel, because I mean, there's over 9 million people, and you know, the taxes on cars in Israel is pretty high. I think over 100% or less. But it's pretty high. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's why you would notice Israelis, they don't drive that crazy expensive cars, even though they're well-to-do overall. But man, everyone has a car, and there's cars everywhere, and traffic. Wow, yeah, traffic was a crazy thing, right? And also these days drivers can be quite aggressive. Like the videos I've seen since I've left Israel, it's like one driver just cuts someone off, and then the other driver comes out of his car, jumps on the windscreen and causes problems. It's like, wow, the aggression. As a bonus thing, let's say the 8th thing that I like about living in Israel, it's like there's this aggressive vibe. You know, people can go from 0 to 100 real quick. So some might say that Israelis are aggressive people, and some might attribute it to, okay, most people have military background, because you know, going to the military is pretty mandatory in Israel, right? So most Israelis that you would meet will have served in the military, right? So many of them have PTSD, of course. So is that why there's the potential for aggression constantly? I don't know. I cannot say more than what I know. But overall, guys, I absolutely loved living in Israel because of all of the places that I could visit, this connection to history, and endless things to do, right? But also I hated these 8 things about living in Israel. You know, will I live in Israel? Probably. I don't see that happening for now, because I absolutely love Montenegro here. I feel like I belong. I feel more connected to the place, and I feel like people are really nice and warm, and I love the nature, and everything is fantastic. So yeah, do you relate to anything that I said that I hated about living in Israel? Is there something that I said that you're like, come on, this is not something to hate, it's okay? Let me know in the comments. You know, let's start the conversation. And if there's specific questions that you have about living in Israel, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. So this is the end of the video, guys. If you've watched until now, thank you so much. And don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you're new to my channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you're notified when I release new videos. So if you have video ideas that you would like me to make videos about, maybe it's a place that I visited, or you have any questions for me, you can ask me in the comments and I'll get back to you. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.